And welcome to Dodge, Parry and Roll, your fortnightly, what are we, Australian independent, existential crisis, sometimes video game show on YouTube. How's that?
Well, whatever the people need us to be, I
What
think.
I want someone to watch it. What the fuck is this? You know?
This is fifth times the charm, or fourth, or something.
You know what?
Can't remember.
It's extremely difficult to get into the YouTube game. You know, we've tried this a few times, different shows, different styles, but I think this is it. This is the most fun, relaxed. So if you're watching, you're listening, watching because we're not even doing audio at this stage. Sit back, crack open a cold one. Is that what they say? Is that the
Yeah, it's a cold one. It's a cold one, Josh.
cold one? Get ready for whatever the fuck this is. I haven't even introduced who Vinny is yet. I've sworn twice, which I don't normally do.
Yeah, you're going off rails. You're doing it live.
No, we're just bringing energy, you know, just some essence of energy that I can muster.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate the glass.
Yeah, true.
It's a nice
Thank
glass
you.
of water
Thank
you got there.
I've lost my water bottle, and this is, how hard someone who has an emotional support water bottle to lose it for the last 6-7 weeks. It's been difficult. I drink so much less water without a water bottle on hand.
100%. I don't think I've ever seen you drink from a glass.
Exactly. I've always had my water bottle.
You're some sort of bottle guy. Yeah.
And I'm not a single-use plastic water bottle guy either. I'm give me a overpriced $60 water bottle.
Yeah.
But I'm not in like the Stanley Cup thing. I'm not looking for the water bottle of the week. I just wanted a nice, structurally sound water bottle with a straw, because that means I could drink. Straw guy. Look, don't knock it till you try it. Straw guy, because you have your hands busy.
Yeah.
You can still just take a little sip.
Yeah. Kind of like
was a move.
a little deer going to the water, you know, like they just dunk their head in.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
imagining.
just tip your head.
Imagining
Tip your head to
that.
the side.
Have I introduced you yet? Have I even said your name?
I think you said my name once.
Okay. In case I hadn't, joining me on this wild ride is my dear friend Vinny. Hello, Vinny.
Hello. And who are you?
I don't know. I'm Josh. So
Yeah.
thank you for joining. Crack a cold one, as we, for some reason, are saying now. And yeah, this is our new YouTube show. It's going to be just a laid back. I like to think of it as if you have no friends and you just like wonder what it's like to have friends and listen to friends talk.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
it.
That's the. Have you seen that photo of the what is it? The guy eating cereal next to the billboard, and it's like pretending you have friends, but it's also like, imagine listening to a podcast and like you're in a group conversation. That's exactly what this is.
Exactly.
We're like a podcast, but it's going to feel like a group conversation. It might be a little bit dead air. That's when you chime in,
Yeah.
the audience.
Yeah.
Exactly it.
We want to have the most dead air on any show, so you can actually.
Yeah.
I used to listen to a podcast years ago, and they would like pause, like do pregnant pauses on purpose, just to see like how many people. Well, it would happen to me too. Like you hear the pause, and you're like something wrong, and you like pick up your phone, and then they'd be laughing in the background. So I find that all funny. But we are, like I said, independent Australian show. We want to we framed this. The idea was to kind of just get together every fortnight and just cover things that we're extremely passionate about. I think where we think we can carve out a niche. You know, we don't want to. We're not going to sit here and regurgitate information you probably already heard elsewhere and weeks prior. But more just give again, just friends around a table having a conversation, find out about water bottles, find about everything else under
Anything
this
you
sun.
want, really.
Anything.
That's it. And I think I don't like, and we've said this before, like news, by the time we get to the news, because we're both busy people, I mean, one of us more than the other, and I assume that you being the more busy person, but it doesn't matter. The point is, by the time we get to the news, and by the time we edit it and put it out, it's old news.
Yeah.
And it's just not fun for anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm doing homework, and I'm like, I don't want to do homework.
I feel like we've just spent a few minutes in, 4 minutes, justifying why this isn't talking about news. But we look, the way we kind of do it, like even for today's episode, like we've going to be talking about video games. It's something that's a passion of both of ours, but we're not going to restrict ourselves to nearly anything. We could do a whole episode on water bottles if we need to. But today is a very special first episode. So special that, I mean, a video game has come along and it's sparked our not only interest in the game, but we were so interested. In fact, we came up with a new show just to give us the ability to talk about it. We were both that excited about it. And that is Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which we're going to touch on a little bit later. Vinny's got his... Yep.
Physical copies.
Physical copy. You know, Lord Savior, physical copies. But first, Vinny, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Coincidences. Things that happen that just seem to work out in your favor. When the stars align, I think that's the one I'm looking for. When stars align.
Okay, you and stars align, everything just seems to even out. You know, because we've spoken about this in our Seinfeld days where you'd be like, you are George Costanza and I am Jerry Seinfeld. And things always even out for me.
Yeah.
And I had a few that I'm like, oh, what's actually kind of funny, but not really. Because there's just like little stuff, like, you know, you lose something and then you find something else that's actually better. You know, it's one of those things. But I was actually thinking about one where that was genuinely like disappointing, but satisfying at the same time.
Yeah.
And this is probably one of the better coincidences in my life. For those people who don't know, which would be everyone, because this is a fresh show and you're all new listeners.
Hopefully.
I went through a breakup about a couple of years ago, and I kind of started just playing the field a little bit after that, and I ended up talking to someone who got a little bit too...
I'm going to stop you. You just said playing the field, and you went like this.
No, okay.
It's okay.
No.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, you know.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I started playing the field, and I started talking to a girl, and it kind of got really intense, is what I want to say. And I pulled back a bit. I'm like, that's not for me. Very persistent. It kind of led to a borderline stalker situation. I think she sent mail to my house, all right, where I live.
Man, I wish I had a stalker just one time. Can someone just...
No, you don't.
Just not full on stalk, but a little like beyond
you want
intrigued.
Someone to love you? You have a family, all right?
No, not now. But I'm just, not now. But I just do. I mean, that's like to have a like level of stalkerism going on. You must have been doing something right.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know what I was doing. Apparently, I was just a decent human being, which was something that was irregular for this person.
That explains it.
And so trying to dodge, block, roll, parry, avoid this person entirely.
There it is.
I ended up kind of blocking her on all socials. But I knew at one point that there was going to be an encounter where I might run into this person.
Mm-hmm.
And that was at the Melbourne Tenacious D concert.
Oh.
Which was, I think, was supposed to be September or something last year.
Jack Black,
KG, Kyle Gass. The thing about that was, it was right before the attempted Trump assassination.
Right.
Sorry, it was going right after. And then KG on stage in Sydney.
That's right. He said some things, right? Yeah,
He said, it was because it was his birthday. And he's like, do you have any wishes? And he's like, next time, don't miss Trump.
Yeah.
And that caused absolute outrage.
Mm.
And I was so nervous about potentially running into this person because I was like, we had floor seats. She was also in standing. And I'm like, I did not want to see this person.
Mm.
So after that and all the backlash that Tenacious D got, they cancelled their Melbourne show. So as disappointed as I was that I didn't get to go see them, I got refunded my money. The anxiety left my body, and that was just like, what a wonderful coincidence.
Yeah. And all it took was some American politics.
That's it. American politics saved me. Beautiful.
Once again. Yeah.
Once again.
Yeah, well.
And I think that's my favorite coincidence.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Mm.
I had come up. I thought of this idea.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, let's just go with that. Because of a situation that happened with me with work. And if anything could, if I had to describe, if a situation could describe my life to someone that I have never met, this would be it. So at my work, I won't say where, but I work in a corporate environment, and we are waiting on, we're waiting on this big contract that was back and forth for months, right? 6 months. The person on the other end, I had built a relationship with up until, this point, just because of the nature of the beast. And I was, I would talk to this person casually about, work stuff, but probably had the closest relationship with.
Professional relationship.
Professional, yeah, of course. Strictly professional. So randomly, we had this big team meeting, all the bosses were there. And I'm like, all right, I'll call. I'll just, let me check in and see where this thing's at. I call. She picks up. Hey, funny you call. We are signing it today. I was actually going to let you know you'll get the contract by the end of today. All I do is send a message in the Teams chat. Hey, expect the contract today. That's it.
Yep.
The contract comes. All right. And I somehow... the perception was that I had done something like to get this signed, as opposed to me purely happenstance calling on the day that they had planned to send it.
Yep.
And I start getting emails from the bosses higher up. I start getting shout outs. I start getting messages on Teams congratulating me, thanking me for the hard work that I had put in to get this deal over the line. And I'm sitting here going...
What did you do?
I didn't do nothing. Nothing. And I'm going for a new role, a promotion as well. So at the same time. I mean...
That's a pretty good coincidence. Just the fact that you're just like, I'll call. I'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I had, casually... But it's because I am such a self-deprecating person, I tell people I didn't do anything. But they all take it as me kind of... playing
a humble brag?
Not even the humble brag, like me playing my Josh character of like I'm the worst at my job type thing. So yeah, it was just this situation where I just happened to call. I'm going for this big promotion. The people that are promoting me are now thanking me on this huge win.
And all you did was just
pick up the phone,
kind of talk. Yep.
Yeah. So
I've seen people get promoted for less.
Exactly.
And you know what? You did something.
Should be a life lesson. Aim for... You know the George Costanza line of, look annoyed all the time and people think you're busy? There is something to that.
Oh, there is 100% something to that. I do that at work constantly.
There's that, and I do think that people who don't do that, but also don't do themselves any favors. Let me tell you this. I'm in the office and hybrid work from home, right? I save all my wins for the days that I'm visible in the office.
Oh, 100%.
So the perception... this is... I hope no one hears this. But the perception... not even the perception, because I am winning. Like, that's my... I'm a somewhat of a sales leader in the business. But I just... the visible moments are important. And I think people should remember that. There's nothing wrong with it. You're still doing the same work you would have done at home. It's just the optics.
Okay, this has now turned to a personal development life coaching podcast, apparently. But at the same time, the wins are sending that one email that's going to make the difference and just getting that response back that day when you're present in the office. Big difference.
Yeah.
Big game changer. When I'm in the office, I sit next to the higher ups in the business so they can see that I'm there and present, because hybrid workplaces, not many people are actually in.
Yeah.
or they're in at random days, or they're not in as often as what you think. I'm like, no. I want to be. I want them to notice me.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe a corporate. Like, I'm like a little corporate monkey, but no, I'm fine. I actually really. I mean, Josh knows. Like, I've been my company for 10 years. I actually really enjoy where I work. So it's like I don't mind coming in all the time.
And it's about
Or
being
more
visible.
often.
It's being visible. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just being visible. And like part of it is my natural personality. Like when I'm in an office, I'm not loud, but I find myself doing the floor, doing the rotation, talking to people. And it's an important part of, although it's not the actual work, it is an important part of when the work needs to be done. I can tap the right people, and not be afraid to be like, I work at one of Australia's top 100 largest businesses, right? Like it's an ASX 100, like big corporate. And the amount of time that can be wasted by just, let's have a meeting and then we'll have another meeting and let's spend the first 30 minutes of the meeting talking through, moment of mindfulness and all those things. And then by the end of the meeting, I'm like, well, that moment took up the whole thing.
What the hell did we do?
What was that? So
what the hell does that mean?
What the hell does that mean? So yeah, it's just one of those coincidences that happen to work in my favor. But if you didn't have anything else, Vinny, did you have anything else? Did you want to circle back on?
I mean, nothing really. Like I'm trying to think of like coincidences that are once again that are just gonna be funny, but there's like nothing really there. It's just like I said, you lose something, you find something else. Something cancels, something else happens on the exact same day. One of those things. Like
yeah.
Like I lost my wallet. Someone who was actually my neighbor picked it up. It was actually at the same place as me. I'm like,
it's a win.
Love that. Big win. Big win. Like just one of those little things.
Well, speaking of massive wins, how's that for a segue? Like I said, you're going to get life. You're going to get water bottle talk, but you're also going to get some of the best video game talk you've ever heard in your life. Is that overselling?
Two ethnic Australian, Italian, half Maltese, former people in a former video game business, not the business, just the retail business, the dying business.
Yeah, and I'll save the talk about my facial hair that I'm trying to grow to the end of the show because that just makes perfect sense. But no, in all seriousness, you
got a Gustav. You got a
Gustav.
Verso.
Yeah. Well, so Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Like I said, this show is going to be a roller coaster of experience where, I've explained it enough. So what we're going to do is a spoiler cast for Expedition 33, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Now, Vinny, the way I kind of thought we could do it is this game has some really pivotal moments, and the game is perfectly broken up into acts, which makes it really easy to do a spoiler cast. But I guess what I want to maybe start on is just a little bit of an overall thoughts from a top level of your experience playing the game. Now, for those who don't know, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a Japanese inspired RPG, a JRPG. I've heard it.
JRPG is what I like to call them.
JRPG, so turn-based RPG, published by Sandfall Interactive. So this is actually their first release ever. A new team formed out of 2 ex-Ubisoft employees, with the rest of the staff being basically new to the industry. For instance, they found their composer on SoundCloud, out of all places. Published by Kepler, PS5, Xbox Series, and Game Pass on console and PC. But Vinny, let's start from the top level thoughts. What was your expectations going in? Were you watching this one? Did this one come out of nowhere? Take it away.
So, first off, I had no idea this game existed until I was at your place about a month beforehand, and you showed me the trailer, and I'm like, "Oh, this looks good. This looks like a kind of game I'll be interested in." Once again, for those of you who don't know, because you've never seen this show before, I am a big JRPG fan. Final Fantasy X is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Big tactics guy. And so I saw the turn-based mechanics. I'm like, oh, this is up my alley. But,
yeah.
And saw the Persona 5 kind of little inspiredness there. And I was like, yep, done. I'll play it. I'll play it. Art style looks cool. I'll play it. So I picked it up day one on Game Pass.
Yep.
Smashed it. Absolutely loved it. Great game. Like my PC is a little bit old, so the graphically was a little bit demanding.
Mm-hmm.
Did not care. The gameplay was where it was at. Put everything on low settings. I didn't care. I just wanted to play it. I said this to Josh, I think halfway through the game, and I said this was the Final Fantasy 15 I wanted.
Wow.
And it's the one we deserved, and the one I needed.
Yeah.
So that's my little review. Like I could honestly loved it. Could not put it down. Even grounded out like so hard to the end where I one shot the boss.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. How many hours did you put in roughly? Do you remember?
I think like 43.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is very digestible, and that's with the grind as well. So, like JRPGs, at least back in the day, putting in
70, 100.
70, 100 hours just to smash it. I mean, even Final Fantasy 7 Intergrade was
50 hours plus.
Hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's a third of a game.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's awesome. I think I've put in, I was actually playing it last night. I think I'm like 50, I got about 56 hours in the game. So I guess a great thing about launching a show like this is you slowly over time going to learn like the tastes and what makes us tick. You learn a little bit about Vinny there with Final Fantasy X, but for me, X10, which is X, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But for me, I think I've got, I've always had a deep respect for JRPGs, turn-based specifically. And I think we've spoken in the past about like my interest in Persona, and like from afar, I'm like, I get it. I love the strategy and the building of your characters and the build crafting and things like that. But what we've also spoken about is what has drawn me off the Persona series in the past was the tone. And I played Metaphor ReFantazio last year and absolutely loved it. I think I clicked over 100 hours in that.
Yeah, I think I was at not close to 90 to 100 as well.
Yeah, so I think I would explain myself as someone who likes turn-based RPGs, but is definitely from a modern perspective. I haven't got a long lineage with like Dragon Quest or even older Final Fantasies. I have gone back since and played 7, parts of 9, parts of 10, parts of 6. But I'm definitely more of a modern turn-based RPG guy. And I think what this game does extremely well is take some of the barriers down that exist in that style of game just by the nature of how the games are created. And what I mean by that is typically when if you had to envisage a turn-based RPG made out of Japan, the first thing your mind would go to is like anime art style, and that's the first thing you go to. Yeah. And this is built in Unreal Engine. It's probably the closest I think we have seen to like what Final Fantasy VII was at that time in 1997. Like graphics, you gotta remember Final Fantasy VII had one of the largest budgets at the time, right? Like this was like modern. This was the graphical showcase, and not to say that this game is a graphical showcase, but it's the closest I think we've gotten in a very long time of like, what does a PS4 style, PS5, Xbox modern turn-based RPG look like today? And it's Expedition 33.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. I absolutely loved it. I love how the tone, it's like gone up and down. But yeah, absolutely loved it. Before we get into, I guess, some of the different parts of the game, let's break down a little bit about, let's start with gameplay. If you want to take me through, Vinny, a bit of a description of what the gameplay is, the systems, and things like that. And then, give us your thoughts on, as someone who's played a lot of turn-based RPGs, like where you see inspiration from, what you liked, what you didn't like. Take it away.
Yeah. Okay. So, first off, it's like I had to unlearn video games today because there's a lot of hand holding. And so to the little things where I was like, I had little nitpicks about it, I just thought to myself, no, it's a JRPG inspired from the old ways, so those things wouldn't exactly be present. For example, what I'm trying to say is the overworld,
Mm.
when there was just different locations, there was no objective list in there. And if I had a key quest item, I was like, oh man, where was this again?
Yeah.
I was like, where was this? And I'm like, my part of me was said to myself, I wish I had a strategy guide right now so I could just look at it. And that was the kind of funny thing about it, where I realized, because I have some strategy guides, Final Fantasy 10, Kingdom Hearts, Pokemon, and I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, there are some parts in the game where you could work it out yourself, but if you actually read between the lines, like in Elden Ring or the Dark Souls games, where if you read the lore of the story, you can figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But playing through it, I just didn't really see it. So I'm like, oh man, where's that objective list? Like, I wish I could go to like Dark Shores and find something.
Yeah.
For example. So the overworld I actually really enjoyed. I like the different ability, like the different parts you get where you get SKs, kind of you get to swim, then you get to fly, get to knock out some paint, and each one becomes a little bit, and it has that replayability of areas where you have to, okay, now I have to go back and do this because there's behind this paint molding, there's could be a new item or a new picto. So the item fetching, very much inspired Final Fantasy is what I can see, like going to different worlds. Even though I said this to my friend Andrew, the isometric view of the single map where you go in, there's like one or two or three or four, like you go through the portal, you hit a single map, and it's literally just to get an item. And it is an isometric view from such a great distance.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, that's a Final Fantasy. Like that is Final Fantasy in a nutshell. Like that is
old school.
Definitely, yeah, old school, like PS1, PS2, Final Fantasy isometric view. Just walking all the way there. Like they didn't need to do that.
Yeah, just pick up a music track and bounce out.
Then walk out. I'm like, you know what? I love that. Some people will find it as a waste of time. I personally enjoyed that. And Persona, there was a social link mechanic. The gunfire mechanic was also very Persona based. There's
so much.
There's a lot of. It took honestly some of the best parts of the games that I love and then put them into a masterpiece, in my opinion. Like the 9.5, like close to a 10 out of 10 for me. One of the things I really enjoyed though was the fact that it's a turn-based RPG that still had me engaged the entire combat, even when it wasn't my turn.
Yeah.
I'm more engaged when it's not my turn because I need to dodge and parry things that are coming at me. Otherwise, I just get one shot.
Yeah. Like I spoke about before, like how it's like the modern reinvention of like what a turn-based RPG would be, and I think what it's doing clearly for a lot of people. Like I'm so excited to talk to you about the story because I think that's where the meat and bones of the conversation's going to be. But from a gameplay perspective, yeah, it's kind of combining the turn-based mechanics, build crafting, but also adding in these real-time elements that are very similar to like I think Mario RPG, very much like Souls inspired. Like I think the director of the game is a Sekiro speedrunner, and you get that sense.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I think he has YouTube videos, like obviously before he was in development, like S ranking Devil May Cry, and you see that mechanic actually in the game. So I think to your point, like what this game does so well is it draws inspiration from within the series of JRPGs, but also reaches out to different genres and pulls in the best elements of that. And gameplay, we'll talk about all these kind of different bits throughout the game throughout the spoilercast, because each character has this like their unique playstyle and unique mechanics that nearly make them feel like they're the main character of another game. Which I thought was all incredible. I really fell in love with the gameplay. Like I said, I'm still playing the game. I think I finished yesterday the tower. There's like a boss rush tower. There's 33 stages on there. I just finished that yesterday. I'm just doing some like I think there's like 2 major bosses I still need to face, Simon and Claire. I need to find her in the game. But yeah, gameplay wise, I think this is like the most engaged I've been in a turn-based game ever. And from a team that like this is their first game, like
Yeah.
instantly shot up my list.
And also it's a game that came out complete.
Yep. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's it. That's the game. You buy it, that's the game. There's no battle pass, no extra money.
You get your
no
skins
DLC.
in game, like
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Do your little jump quests. That was another one where I was like, oh, this is like they're going to the beach.
The beach, Gestural Beach, yeah.
Gestural Beach.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so excited to talk to you about this because there's so much different angles we can go through. I know there's, before we get in, because I think, again, I want to spend a lot of the time dissecting the story and the story beats and what makes this game so great. But again, from that bird's eye view, like if you're going in with some sort of love for JRPGs or have been interested and just maybe steered away from them based on tone or art style or anything like that, please give this game a shot. Music, some of the best video game music I have ever heard. It's getting like I sent this message into another show that I listened to. I'm like, better than One Winged Angel? We Lost Renoir battle music is particularly incredible. I've got that on my Spotify list, and I'm like, the crescendo of the music. I listened to the song translated in English just to kind of see what they're singing about, and it's like, oh man, like it's even if it's not better, quote unquote better than One Winged Angel, the fact that that went through my mind.
That is impressive.
Yeah, incredible. But I am so excited to talk to you about the story. So again, I think what we'll do is we'll break the game up into its segments. We'll discuss the prologue, then go into Act 1, 2, and 3, and then the epilogue as part of that. But the game begins in Lumiere, which is a world where, it's very much France inspired. It's got the Eiffel Tower there in the distance, and they live in this world where basically each year this creature known as the Paintress paints down a number, starting from 100, and they're up to 34, and they're about to paint down to 33. And the way it works, the mechanics behind the game, is there is this event called the Gamage every year where the Paintress would paint down a number, and everyone of that age and above, or of that age, passes away. So basically think of it as if you're a child, every year that number's getting closer whilst you're growing up. So, children that were around at the last Gamage at 34 to 33 aren't going to get to 33. They might only get to like 25 by the time the number meets in the middle.
By the time it shrinks.
Yeah. And the story concept is, again, they've got this Gamage that happens every year, and the people of Lumiere send out an expedition, typically made up of people of that their Gamages for next year. So this game begins as 34 is written on the monolith. Everyone of that age passes away. 33 is next. So basically, this expedition is made up of mainly 32-year-olds going out to stop the Paintress in order to kind of preserve the future of Lumiere. Yeah. But again, given this is a spoiler cast, we're kind of going in with the fact that you've played the game, but I thought it's important to kind of set that tone. But prologue covers from that beginning of the game up until post the beach. So once Gustav wakes up. So let's keep contained within those barriers. But talk to me about your experience of the prologue of Expedition 33.
I was pretty engaged with the story at the very start. I was thinking about it being like, because it was funny because Gustav is 32, 33 years old. Like he's next on the chopping block. And as a 33-year-old man myself, I was like, this game's made for me. I'm 33. I'm going to die soon. It's fine.
Perfect.
But the story of, even it was like just a little bit of a love story at the very start, and how he deals with the pain of loss of losing his
girlfriend, Sophie.
Mm-hmm. That's it. His partner. And like they break up. You see, even from that little part that you steer, there's still kind of love there between them.
Yeah.
And then he's talking to Mael, who's kind of like his younger sister, and you can tell that, as funny enough as I'm going to say it, like Gustav is like the glue guy. He's just this man who just brings together this whole team, and it's a really good way to paint a protagonist in a sense from the get-go, where if I look at games like Final Fantasy X or Persona, you generally you don't start off as the glue guy.
No.
Like Titus does not start off as the glue guy. Your main character in Persona, whatever your main character's name is, they don't start off as the glue guy. You build that social link and that formation, and everyone kind of trusts you in the end. But this one, you're established, and you are like, it is your world, your fight, and you're playing as Gustav. You're him. You're his hero. He's clearly the main character.
Yeah,
he's clearly trying to save the day, or at least you think at the very start.
Yeah.
And when you see the reckoning, or you see the Gummage, you're like, it hits heavy, because you already see this love that he has for his for Lumiere and what he wants to do to stop it. He has very passion. He's driven, and yeah, it was crazy. Like, I love the world building in it. Like, what were your thoughts of the opening act?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Like, Gustav, obviously, pointed the note, played by Charlie Cox, so Daredevil himself,
and looks like
Robert Pattinson. I was listening to another show talk about this game, and there was one thing that one of the hosts said that really stood out to me, and it was that the way that the way Charlie Cox plays Gustav, plays him like a real life character. Given that Charlie Cox is a real, no offense, like a real actor, but like an actor from a TV show or movie.
Yeah.
He plays the character in a different way than a video game voice actor or motion capture actor would play it. So it brings like a real groundedness to the way
it feels real.
He feels real. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. And that's not a detriment to any of the other actors or actresses, because they do an incredible job. But he just plays it from this, like, it just pulls you into the world like in a believable way from the very get-go.
I mean, yeah, I think it's a combination of good writing, and good voice acting. That really
good direction, good everything.
Yeah, that really makes a character feel as real as they can be while still being in a video game.
Yeah, and I think another thing that this game really does really well, like we spoke about this game not being 100 hours long, is the things you experience in this first hour is something that would probably be 5 or 6 hours in any other turn-based RPG, right? Yeah. It just throws you straight into the world. I love how it just throws you in at the pivotal point of that year's Gummage. So you're living it, like in your first, 10 minutes, 40 minutes, depending on how long you spend walking around the town. And as you, walk through the town with Mael and then get to Sophie, and then start interacting with other characters, you actually start to like... This is one of those games where it's like I wanted to talk to everybody because I just wanted to learn more about the mechanics of the world and how everyone was thinking, how people were dealing with this event that was happening for 60 odd years, right? So you get this, So you get this sense of when you talk to people, like, for people like us, like this, as in the player coming in, it's like, oh my God, this is horrific. But they've been experiencing this for so long.
Desensitized.
And they're nearly desensitized to it. And
just accepting.
And accepting of it. And you can see Gustav has this real fight in him for not wanting to accept the reality that they live in and wanting to fight for the people that come after. One thing I really thought was powerful for those who come after was, I don't know if you noticed, if you have conversations, I think when you switch and play as Sophie for those little bits and you start engaging with people throughout town, you actually learn why her and Gustav broke up. I don't know if you noticed that. I didn't notice. Yeah, so
do tell.
So if you talk to one of the NPCs, I believe it's the mother with the child, they were talking about, like, I'll look around and look at all the kids, like, without their parents. And Sophie says something like, that's where me and him didn't see eye to eye. So it's basically alluding to the fact that Gustav wanted to have a child, and Sophie didn't want to bring a child in this world and have a world where she couldn't raise this kid and would be Gummaged, and this child would become an
orphan.
An orphan. And you see that with Gustav, with his love for kids and how the kids run up to him, right? And he's always talking about writing in his journal for the kids back at home, and obviously Mayal being an adopted, sister-like character as well. I love that that's all shown and told in a way that's very like you could speed run through this opening.
Yeah.
You can, in 10 minutes you can get to the the Gamage and then to that scene before the beach, or you can spend the time and like really interact with people. I actually need to go back when I do my new game run plus because I missed the trophy for fighting the mime in Lumiere.
Can you?
Yeah, there's a mime somewhere in there. But yeah, so you get to the scene where the Gamage happens, and man, the music that's like playing throughout, like this
the epic, like the crescendo, like it just hits.
And then you get that moment where like everything fades away, and it's just Gustav and Sophie, and then she slowly fades, right? And, you feel that, and the game just sits on that for that little bit. I loved how then it just pivots to the party that is like, that night for the following day for that expedition to go out, right? And what that showed to me was like, we're sitting here going, oh my God. And they're like, this happens every year, and now it's our turn to go out. So because I kind of felt it was kind of weird that like the next scene is like having a drink with people, and people around him don't seem, like you said, they're just kind of phased by it because they've lived this for so long. So I actually appreciated that after the fact. But what did you think of that?
It was so... It went from very intense to almost nonchalant. Like everyone just went about their day like normal, and then it's like, oh yeah, we're having a party. It's just a farewell party. It's just a bon voyage. And it kind of, if you didn't... Yeah, a little French in there. If you didn't, like, if you sped run the dialogue, and if you didn't really pay attention to it, you would honestly think to yourself, you're like, they're having a party to celebrate the ones that they just lost.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a party to celebrate the ones to send off for who will come after. Yes.
And there's like there's little dialogues around like, oh, we've got a bigger table than more tables than the last expedition. Like they're all like, we're the ones, we're going to do this. And you get that feeling, right? Like again, not knowing what was to come, you're like, yeah, like they're building to this sense of like, no, we're the team that's going to do it. The team that have come before have built the foundations. Gustav is an inventor and has built the Lumina converter, and we've got this technology that's going to allow us to beat the Paintress. You're introduced to Gustav's sister, who seems to be some sort of like minister of the town or something. And you get this interesting dialogue where she's basically having to give this really like momentous speech to kind of rally the troops, but secretly not, between her and Gustav, she's like, this is a suicide mission. Like, we're doing this for the morale of the people. But this is a suicide mission. But Gustav believes in the mission, and you interact with Lune at this point, Mayal as well. You can actually duel her out on the water. And then it cuts to the next day. And it's the ship of the expedition leaving Lumiere and making their way towards the monolith, where they land on the beach. Vinny, what was going through your mind when the team got off the boat and you're introduced to the character Renoir, played by Andy Serkis?
Well, literally, as soon as I saw him, I'm like,
he's old.
Oh my God, it's Pierce Brosnan. And then second, I'm like, oh my God, he's old. I'm like, oh, like who's this guy? I'm like, that's pretty interesting. Like, oh, there's a survivor. And then he just starts fucking going. Just guns blazing, just annihilating everyone.
Slaughtering everybody.
And nothing they could do could touch him. He was just invincible. So I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? First off. Second, there was so many characters where I honestly thought, is this going to be like a Game of Thrones thing where the main character just dies like straight away? I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess not.
Not yet.
And so, there was a few characters who you interacted with at the end of I think the three characters you interact with at the very
Yep. So
And
the
at the Boy
girl
Garage
and
party.
the dark-skinned dude that gives you the wine at the start, they're one of the
Yeah.
characters that gets killed. And then the guys that you talk to, so there's like not a mini game, there's this thing where before the expedition goes off, if you talk to some of the team members, they give you like a token that you can use.
Yeah. Use a token to get like a different outfit or a hairstyle.
Yeah,
Or
one guy
something like
asks
that.
you, quizzes you on Lumiere lore. One guy asks you to,
Yeah.
So those people, like you talk to the captain and things like that, all gone in a
Gone.
split of a second. I want to talk about the sound, the music, in that moment, right, where you hear, like throughout the game when Renoir would appear on screen, you kind of get that sound bite of his cane kind of hitting
Just
the
a
ground.
tap.
Yeah,
It was like dead silence, and then you just hear that.
yeah. Incredible. And yeah, that was such a like, holy shit. Like again, this is like 8 hours into any other 100 hours into any other RPG, and this is just,
An
the
hour.
prologue, right? Incredible. And I think it just sets up such an interesting story, and again, the twists and turns that are yet to come, which we'll discuss in just a moment. Anything else you wanted to kind of touch on, wrap up on the prologue before we get into Act 1?
Not that I can think of. Nothing come to mind.
Yeah. Awesome.
What about you?
No, I
Anything?
think we've covered it pretty well. Again, just a great opening. One of the great openings.
We almost talked more than the prologue itself.
Yeah. One of the great openings. Like, you think Last of Us, like this is on that level. All right, getting into Act 1. So this covers from the moment Gustav wakes up on the beach,
Yep.
through to reuniting with Lune, finding Mayal at the manor, the Gestural village, the tournament, introduction to CL, into Eske, and then into the fight with the lamp bearer, and then the scene that follows that. So again, encapsulated in that act. How did you find waking up and experiencing Act 1?
I was still a little bit shocked from the events of what happened on the beach. I was like, all right. And then you're all alone, which is fine because you didn't really from the trailer I knew it was gonna be a party game. But I was like, okay, so my brain thought you have to scrounge and find your team. But when you're wandering through the world yourself and you see the other expeditions, and you see your first checkpoint. Your first checkpoint's actually like a flag. It's a flag from a former expedition, and then surrounding them is the bodies with no the bodies that are turned to stone because the lumen has been drained from them. I was like, okay, that's cool. And this entire time, Gustav is just thinking that he can't go on anymore. He's just seeing nothing but death and decay around him. And he just doesn't want to live anymore. I thought, extremely over. Like, if that you can feel how overwhelmed that character is.
Yeah, and it's just not a portrayal that you typically get from the main hero, right? Like, it's usually, no, we can do this. He's the guy rallying the people together. And it's that scene of, he pulls out the gun, and then Lune is there to kind of pull him away from the edge.
I thought Lune was a hallucination.
Yeah.
When I first saw that scene, I thought, okay, he's just talking to himself. And then she's just around the party. I'm like, But the way they she just snuck up on him, and the way the camera faded and kind of turned to her just being behind his head, and just popping out, like that cinematography kind of gave me inspiration of any other, I guess, movie that would show that as I thought that was a hallucination. I guess the way the cinematography was made me think that it was a hallucination based on other pieces of media that I have seen.
Yeah. And again, given this is a spoiler cast and we've, with the expectations that you've hopefully played the game, we're not going to go through beat by beat, because we will be here for 24 hours. But I think that's an important moment, like that landing part on the beach, introduction to Lune, again, sets the tone. You get the introduction to the open world. You learn the rules of engagement. You get CL. You go meet SK. I think it's important to stop there for a sec. SK is an incredible, like that interaction between
Great character.
SK
Fantastic
and
character.
Francois, his neighbor.
Yeah.
And that's the light to the darkness that is this story. Like this is clearly a story about grief and letting go and things like that. But I like how there's that light, lightness throughout the game that keeps it from being this total depressing, thing. So as we end Act 1, we get the fight with the lamp bearer, which I really liked. And I want to mention two things as we kind of wrap into Act 2. I really like the environmental storytelling. Like, you mentioned this, like the...
Give souls.
So very similar to the Souls games, there's your campfires that when you rest, you heal your items, but all your enemies respawn. And in this game, those checkpoints are flags made by previous expeditions, right? They're all listed with the expedition's number. I love that because that's like an in-game, in-universe, like, way of explaining why those flags are there. They're not just there for the sake of it. Like, I love stuff like that. And throughout the game, you get this like really interesting, like when you find like the audio recordings, you find like a little scene of the characters that are basically turned to stone, and you can kind of piece together what happened based on the audio recording or not. Sometimes you just find these bodies everywhere. And a big thing about the story, which you learn much later, is like the enemies that are killed by Nevrons, their energy, their chroma remains in their body. Right? And that isn't explained until Act 3 as to why their chroma isn't allowed to return. Right? Yeah. But yeah, the environmental storytelling, obviously the tones of grief, but then getting into the lamp bearer fight. This does something that is like my favorite thing that only video games can do, and Final Fantasy VII, the remake series, does it too. Clearly Vinny's so excited that he's lost his camera. So I'll just continue to keep going here. But it does the thing that I like. It's so uniquely video games that no other form of entertainment can do it. And that's the in-game fight that plays a cutscene during the fight. So the fight with Renoir, you beat the lamp bearer, and then you get that really, you get that scene of the characters jumping off into SK, and Mayel and Gustav are throwing rocks out into the ocean. There he is.
Whatever.
You're there.
Whatever happens.
You're back. You get the scene of Gustav and Mayel throwing the rocks into the ocean, and then obviously again you hear Renoir coming, you hear the cane, and you get this really cool moment. Well, not a really cool moment. This shocking moment when Gustav gets shot through the chest. And I'll finish up my point, and then I'll throw to you about how you kind of felt when that happened. But obviously, I was completely shocked, right? Like, this is the main guy. What you felt was the main character, the glue, as Vinny put it, just got pierced through the chest. And then you have this obviously, Mayel gets put into like a protective bubble. She can't go anywhere. And Gustav looks at her, and, we spoke about at the start of Act 1, that moment of him wanting to kind of kill himself and then getting to the end, and now he's ready to fight for the people that come after and protect Mayel, and then you engage in a fight with Renoir. This is the thing that I'm saying, that I'm like, this is something that's uniquely only video games can do, and I absolutely love when it happens. I think Metal Gear Solid 4 does it, Final Fantasy VII Remake series does it, and that's when you're in a fight, so you're in-game, UI, everything, and then a cutscene's playing at the same time. So I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, there's that fight, you're fighting, and then it cuts to the team out in SK, and the lamp bearer comes back up.
Yeah.
And you're seeing all the fighting going on in the distance. They can't interact, and it cuts back to the fight, all whilst you're in the fight. Not, stopping, playing a cutscene. Because when that happens, like, when you're fighting, you put the controller... You might not put the controller down, but you're off,
you
right?
can't in this game.
The cutscene's playing. Like, you don't need to be engaged. But this is like in the fight, so you're really engaged. Gustav obviously fires off his overcharge, drops the arm, and then you get the final blow of Renoir stabbing Gustav. Stop there. What are how did you feel in that moment?
First of all, I don't know what happened to my camera.
It's okay.
Secondly, this was the first two-phase boss fight in the game.
Yeah.
And phase 1 was so hard for someone who's like, you're playing this game for about 4 hours, I guess. Right now, 4 or 5 hours,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was trying to parry everything. I was just dying constantly. And then you finally get to the second phase and you're like, oh my God, there's a second phase.
Mm.
So that was intense enough
this
already.
is Lamp Bearer. Sorry, you're referring to the Lamp Bearer. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. But
did you did you notice that the way to beat the Lamp Bearer, he would like light up different lamps and you'd have to shoot them in the order? Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that after my third time I died.
Okay.
But that stab through the chest for Gustav.
Bloodshot eyes, like, oof.
Yeah, like he was. I'm like, oh no, surely he won't die.
Mm.
And then he uses overcharge, and the kind of symbolism of when his arm falls. I was like, oh no. I'm like, nah, it's giving. Like nowhere near as emotional, but I am Iron Man kind of thing. But he just fucking dies, and I'm just like, holy shit, he's dead.
He's dead.
He's dead. I'm like, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah.
I guess because also very good marketing as well from the team, because in every trailer, in every single gameplay, every single screenshot that I saw, it was always very early game, and they always showed Gustav.
Well, yes and no. They did a marvel. They swapped out Verso's character model for Gustav. So in the trailers, there's scenes of Gustav fighting the duelist boss and other parts of the game. And actually, if you listen to the trailer, you actually hear Verso talk, but it's Gustav as like in battle, like as it was playing. You had to really know to pick it up, but.
Which people wouldn't know until they played it.
No, it's actually they model swapped him. So they pulled like what the Marvel movies do with like Avengers, where they like
the extra effort, well worth it.
And you get little hints throughout those opening acts as well, like where you can't upgrade Gustav. Like some of his things are locked out. You're like, why can't I upgrade him?
Yeah.
So,
but I was really analyzing that skill tree he had, and then I didn't even get to use it.
Yeah, 100%. So you get Gustav. He gets obliterated by Renoir. Again, the music that plays. So then you get. This is when you're introduced to Verso as well.
I think also that was another thing that made me certain that this character is definitely dead. Was the music? The music was. It was heavy.
Yeah.
It felt like you were defeated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And check your phone, Vinny. Check your phone for me. And this is also where you get the first inkling that something's going on, because Renoir does that whole like Doctor Strange like push of Mayel, and she kind of like exits her body for a second, and you hear like voices in the background. At the time, you're like, what the hell are these people talking about? And then she comes back, and that's when you get introduced to Verso. What did you think, kind of wrapping up here for Act 1, what did you think about the introduction of Verso? Did you find, this is kind of going into Act 2, but the one thing I think as a critique was it would have perhaps been even more powerful to have like, even if it was one level, one campfire discussion afterwards without Verso, in the sense it's like, it does feel like, all right, he's out, he's in, all his points go to him. You still get those moments of them like needing to, with Gustav's arm and things like that. There was that kind of like weird, just kind of like swapping.
Yeah, like a snap decision being like, oh, he's replaced.
Yeah.
Which kind of really took away his death in a sense.
Yeah.
So I would have liked to see, at least obviously not a full chapter, but
just a cutscene,
night,
yeah,
or like a day in their world, going through kind of them feeling defeated, being like, how could we go on? Because he was arguably at that point in the game, at least as the player, he was the strongest team member.
Yeah, I
and
would have
he had
nearly liked, like, if I had to, again, this is being very nitpicky, but I guess if I had to, like, have seen it differently, like, maybe what happens is after Gustav goes down, Renoir goes for Mayel, like, her paintress powers unlock for a second and she's able to stop him and escape. And then you just get a scene by the campfire of them dealing with his death. And that's when Verso just arrives on site and does what he does, right? Because there is the scene of him getting there and kind of explaining what his story is. I think maybe the reason why they did it the way they did was maybe because they wanted, like, to hammer home the message, like, Verso is a good guy. You know what I mean? Like,
you know, it's funny. I still didn't trust him. I
Yeah.
still did not trust him.
I was like, hey, it's
Because
Clive.
he just had, yeah, it was just one of those things where he came off, the way he would, I think that was the thing where it was like the personal grief with me, because the fact that he felt so replaceable, the fact that he just came in trying to replace another character, even down to the moveset, made me feel like he was
A copy.
like he was a copy, but he also felt a little bit too, like, I didn't want to replace Gustav yet personally,
Yeah.
so that's why I just also didn't feel like I trusted the guy.
Yeah. And maybe that, I mean, that's a choice. They made both characters sword and gun. You know, you mentioned, like, being a replacement of another character or a copy of another. Like, it might all be part of, like, the thought process behind the game. But I think what we're going to do, given we've gone, I love this. This is, like, this again goes to, like, how powerful I think the game is and, like, how great the story is. We might split this into over 2 shows because there's so much to get into.
Yeah, why not?
Particularly in Act 2 and 3. But
I think that's where it really hits home.
Yeah, but
I mean,
if you haven't
the
already, and you've heard us speak this long, this far about the game, pick it up. If you haven't, I mean, why are you listening to this? In general, what are you doing with your life? But yeah, we'll come back and talk through Act 2 and 3 next time. But Vinny, I wanna end on it. I think we've gone. It's been an emotional roller coaster, right? We started off.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck we were talking about, and then we just dived in to this exceptional video game. What have you got planned? What's going on in your life? What's got you ticking?
Oh, you want to hear the?
Give it to me.
Yeah. Okay. Now I've kind of gone against my one rule in my workplace, which is.
Oh no! Again?
Yeah, what's my one rule?
You shitting where you eat or something like that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right, let me put the notebook down. Come on. Lay it on me. I use Vinny as I've been, again, no one knows me, but I've been in a very happy long-term relationship, married. I live through Vinny's escapades as I like, I don't know how to
And they are escapades because it's just a ride and none of it's a success. So, girl at work, fun, flirty, little bit of a, someone you can kind of just act very natural around, and kind of got talking, have similar sense of humor, like similar interests, and she went through a breakup at the end of last year.
Okay.
And
so 5 months before that, separated.
But before that, we were kind of have established a friendship because I also didn't think of anything of it. I am way more talkative and way more confident with a girl, or talking to the opposite sex, I should say, when they are unavailable.
And at work. Like work.
And at work.
Work Vinny, like, and even corporate Josh. Like, it's different iterations of what you get here.
Yeah. And you can be that different person, and it's fine. You always have something to talk about. If it's work related or not, you have banter. As much as I hate that word, the word banter has just been like drilled into my brain, and it now feels like a negative.
It's overused. It's like cope. Like, oh, you're coping. I'm like, that's all over the internet. It's like you cope.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I agree. So, talking, we went out for a drink. I went supposed to go to a concert with like her and a guy from work, and then another friend from work. So my ticket and her ticket didn't work. So we ended up getting a drink afterwards. Got talking, had a good time. Whatever. Ended up driving her back to her car. Nothing happened. Very platonic, this one. Very platonic interaction. But we enjoyed hanging out. So we're like, oh, we'll do it again. And then a few weeks ago, kind of did it again. And I mentioned the word date. I took her out for sushi. We're sitting next to each other. Very cute. And I just mentioned the word date. And she's like, is this a date? And I'm like,
oof.
Do you think this is a date?
Date? I said plate. I said pass me the plate.
Yeah, pass me the sushi plate.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just got talking. Nothing happened that night. But since then we have, like, I spent Saturday night at her house. Let's just say that.
So it was in fact a date.
And that time no, but the other time yes, and the time before that. So it's been very interesting because no one at work knows. That's a bit exciting.
Oh man, that must be so exciting.
It's funny when you just kind of lock eyes and just, like we both know what's going on, but no one else knows.
Yeah.
I am in over my head at this point. I also don't know kind of what she wants and what I want out of it in this sense.
Well, we're definitely going to continue to track this. This is going to be tracked.
Yeah, we'll track this. We'll track this for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess we haven't established anything because it's just right now it's just fun. We're having fun. Anyway, that's what's going on in my world. That's my personal dilemma.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's incredible. You never cease to surprise me. Wait, is that what happens when
we don't catch up?
We do. It's actually been a little bit.
Amaze me?
Yeah, that's the one. What did I say? Doesn't. Yeah, we do need to catch up. Definitely. We'll talk.
Yeah, because I got it in my calendar. Last time we caught up was April 6th.
Yeah, I think we were going to. And yeah. Switch 2 time.
We did say we tried to do. I think we said try to do it at least like once every 6 weeks or something like that. I mean, yeah, every other month because stuff. Like as an adult, stuff just piles up and you don't know where the weeks go. That's
the thing. And I think because we're so in tuned, it's like it could be 6 years and it's like we're still doing talking like it was been a week. But yeah, we'll definitely. I think Switch 2 is coming out now, and I'm like, yeah, we should do something for sure. But we will continue to track your escapades because we might have to do a spoiler cast on that maybe. Get into the nitty gritty of what happened and what went where.
What are you? Got anything going on?
Just the usual. Just the
usual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the usual.
Okay.
No, plenty going on in my life. I've got a little boy. He's turning 2 this year, so he keeps us very busy. He learnt the word uh-oh.
Oh, that's cute.
So now it's just he walks around going, uh-oh. It's so cute. Which is appropriate because he's always knocking things over and tripping over and breaking all my stuff. But we'll continue to follow these escapades. That is our life. Thank you for joining us, dear viewer. For the
your one viewer.
Yeah, which will be me, of Dodge, Parry, and Roll. Again, if you want to support us, we're not going to ask for money. You just have to do a few little things. Click here. I don't want to say the thumbs up and bell stuff because, I mean, if you're having to remind someone to do it, we know it. We know it, right?
Yeah, everyone, you know it from everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. What we want you to do is to come here after you've learnt from other people, all right? And it's like, how do I expel everything I've learned and fill my brain up with trash?
Yeah, I want that trash.
Yeah, we'll be that garbage. But yeah, thank you for listening. We'll see you in a fortnight. Vinny, any closing thoughts? Words of wisdom?
I mean, I have my favorite words of wisdom, but can I still do it?
Go for it.
I mean, this is just a throwback for someone who's been around for me and Josh, big fans of a former show that's now ended and caused heartbreak. But may the power protect you.
Goodbye.